Welcome back, boyglings. How we all doing today? I am the expert, the master of disaster, the one and only void seer, Sonoma Gostrola, and we are back for more learning. Give me a second. I hit the wrong thing. I did not want to hit that play button. Alright, so let me just make sure everything's all nice and good. I need to close out some things that we do not need. Alright, so that's all of that. Alright, so how about we jump on over here? And by here, I mean let's jump over here. So last time, we talked about all of the eventing, and we did all the mapping. Today, we're gonna be jumping into the database. We got a few things to go over here for database. Some of these are gonna go a lot faster than others. So, let's start with the actors. So these are your main characters. These are who, they're gonna be, your playable characters, your temporary characters. Ignore these two spots. These two spots are for, a couple puzzles later in the game. I probably don't need these. I probably could just do another method of doing this, but this is the way I'm doing it. So, name. It's the name you're going to give your character. Nickname. I don't... It's on the status screen. So, let's say we call her, Kieran. And we go in here. So this will be a relatively quick stream. A lot of this stuff is self-explanatory for the most part. I don't need all of that on. So you can see right here, there's the nickname there. There's also the class name that shows up here and here. And down here at the very bottom is where you're going to see a profile. We'll go over that in a little bit. Oh, actually, it's right here. You can put a profile here. I think you can only fit, like, 2 lines here, though. So, do what you can with that. If you want to have, like a short little thing about, like, what the character, is like, or what they do, or whatnot, you can put it there. Your class, you set this here. This is how you get your stats for, each character. If you're not doing, like, unique stats per character, if everyone is using, like, the same stat growth, you could get away with just one, class. The starting level that you start with, usually you start at level 1. I'm having it start at level 6 in this game. And max level, you could go up to 99. You cannot go any higher than 99 without plugins. I have it set to 50 because that's just the way the game is. I may have to take a look at how balanced the game is, though, to see if I want to go to level 50. It doesn't last long enough to go to level 100 or 99, so I figured, you know what? Put a little bit more of a challenge on the game. Let's put, like, a max level of 50. Your profile, your face image, which is going to be in your, image folder for, it's in your image folder for faces, I believe. So you pick whatever face you want. Here. Your character sprite. Which you need to make sure it has a $sign, otherwise it will not work correctly. As far as I'm aware. Yeah, if it does have a $sign, you can't actually pick it, I think, right? Or it won't animate correctly. If you're using a side view system, like what you see in old Final Fantasy games, this is how you do that. I don't have anything for that. Otherwise, like, we use the side view system. But, you know. Again, you can set your starting equipment to whatever you have in your database. Notes, this is for yourself, but this is also how you do some JavaScript coding. If you are adept at it. So things like Fly stuff, Vector engine stuff, you will do some unique stuff here. Again, traits. Traits are how you set, like, status immunity, element resist. You can set, like, skill types. If you're going with, like, classes, or if you want characters to have unique skills that no other characters can use, you can do it all here. So, let's take a look at traits. You will see these for other things too. So, element rate. This is the rate at how much damage this character, or, you know, this enemy, whichever you put it on, will take. The lower it is, the less damage you will take. The higher it is, the more damage you will take. You can go up to 1000%. You cannot go below 0%. Now, you can make it absorb elements, but that's with a plugin, which I'm not going to go over plugin. Is that the plugin has its own notes and stuff. If you're going to use the plugin, read the notes. I shouldn't have to go over the plugin stuff. Plus, I don't think Fly would like that very much. Debuff. This is for stats. It stats twice, up to 50%. This is just the chance of it debuffing, I think. Yes, this is just the chance of when using an attack or skill, a skill or item, that it will do this. So, like, a regular attack is a skill, using an item on an enemy will do this, or item on yourself. And this is the chance of that happening. Again, it stats twice. First time is 25%, second time is 50%. I don't use this. I actually use a version of this in the states. So this is the chance of a state affecting this target. If you want them to be immune, you set it like 0%, or you just use state resist. State resist is immunity. You can also make them weaker status effects, if you really wanted to. So say you have like a 0% chance of being affected. And it's not set to state resist. It's set to 0% here. Again, you set a debuff like 180%. Actually, I don't know how that would work. Is that still going to be 0%? Not sure. Parameter. So this is for your stats. You can make it so that you get like 100, like 3% more, or like 4% less than what's shown here in the classes. And you can do this for all stats. Luck doesn't really do anything from what I'm told. Luck is like completely worthless at default MP. Wow, voice crack. Now the fun stuff comes here in EX parameters. You can affect your hit rate. You can go down to like minus... Give me a second. 1 second. You know, one of these days, I'm gonna stop hitting the wrong buttons. You can make it go down to, say... You can go up to 1000%, or... You can go to minus 1000%. So, that's some fun stuff you can do right there. You obviously want to have hit rate on the character, or the, equipment. I think this does stack with equipment. I think you only really want it on one or the other, though. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if you need it on both and make it so that, like, a 90% hack doesn't miss, like, 50 million times. You can also set evasion for regular hacks. Critical rate, which is how often you will crit. Default RPG Maker MV has crit rate set to ×3 damage. You can't get a plugin to change that, like ×2 or whatever. I have mine set ×2 because it makes more sense for it to be ×2. I don't know if I should do like 50% instead of 100% though, to balance it out. Critical evasion is the chance of dodging being critted, which... Is that a thing in actual games? I don't think I've ever seen a game with a crit evade. So that's unique. Magic evasion, which you could not do in like RPG Maker 2003. You couldn't really do evasion stuff in 2003. It was quite aggravating. Magic Reflect, which is another thing that was annoying in 2003, and you could not do... Reflect in 2003 will reflect all skills, regardless of what it was. This reflects only magic hacks, which, thank you. The chance to counter with default MV, this will always be the regular hack command. And you only get one counter per turn. So, if you get hit, it can counter, it can get hit again before your turn comes up with that character. It will not counter again. Now, Yavefly does have a plugin where you can adjust how many times per turn before that character's turn comes up that they can counter. Most of the time I have it set to +10, so if they get hit 10 times at the very max before their turn, it'll at least counter 10 times. Now, this does not mean they will counter every single hit of a multi-hit. It will only counter once. And a default 2000 MV, it will only counter physicals. They will not counter mishaps. They will not counter magic hacks. And I don't remember if they counter physical counters. I think they do. Again, with Yavefly's plugin, you can make it so that it counters everything. It counters just when you evade. And I believe with the plugin that comes with MV, you can set it so that a counter... No, you cannot do it with default MV. It's another Yavefly thing. Where you can counter with a specific ability. Or abilities. So HP MV regen is like, if you set a plus... Like, say you set, like, plus 100%. Actually, it should be set to, let me do this real quick. Just so it resets stuff. If you set, like, +1, you will restore 1% max HP. If you set a -1, you lose 1% max HP. Same thing with MP. It's just 1%. It's just gain or lose percent of the max. So this is your regen and your poison state. Same thing with TP, but I don't use TP. Special parameters. Target rate. This is the rate at which this character will get targeted. So it defaults at 100%. If you set a 0%, that target should never be hit until all other targets are defeated. Now, obviously, default MV is going to have issues with this. This is why there's plugins for things like this to make it so that you do like provokes instead. Because normally in default MV, you do provoke stuff. with target rates. Like FF12's lure ability, which makes all attacks go to that target. You would use it for that, but sometimes it will just ignore it anyways. Or say you have like a hide. Like you use a character that's a bard that uses hide. You would set 0% so they would never be targeted. Granted, if all other targets are dead, they would still get targeted, but you know. Guard effect is how much damage you would take, more or less, when you use the guard command. Recovery effect is the amount of recovery you get whenever you heal. I believe you can set this to minus, right? Can you set this to minus? 0. No, you can only set 0. So you can set this to be, say like you want a buff that makes so you heal 50% more to all targets that have this buff. What you would do is you would set this on the ability that would put a buff on with this at 150%, and then you would set it to like AoE, and that will make it so that whenever anyone heals that target that has that buff, it will heal 50% more than usual. You can do some other wild stuff with this, but we'll get to that later. Pharmacology is the same thing, but for items. So say you put this on at like 200%, right? And then you use a potion that heals 100 HP. That potion's gonna heal 200 HP. Pharmacology starts with recovery, because items are recovery. So, that potion, if you set both these at 200%, so if a target has 200% recovery, 200% pharmacology, that potion's gonna heal for 400 HP instead of 200. So you can stack these for interesting stuff. MP cost. You can put like half MP cost, no MP cost, double MP cost. You can set this on characters, equipment, stats, or states. What did I say, stats? HP charge rate is how fast your HP charges up. Physical max damage. How more or less you take from those heights. So you can make it so that you have a special hang that takes more damage for physical but less for magic. So you have a magic hang, or vice versa. You have a physical hang who takes less damage for physicals but takes more for magic. You can do that here. Floor damage. You can set it that they take extra damage or less damage for floor tiles. And EXP, you can set it so that they gain, or you gain more or less EXP. So, that's all the parameters. So you can do some interesting stuff with all of these in characters, but it's more interesting with states. And if you're able to do passive states, that's where you get even more wild stuff. And with equipment. Attack. So, this is for your regular attack. And, if I recall, for any skills who has the normal attack attribute. Either the attribute or state. We'll go with that in a little bit. So, you can set your character's regular attack, whatever element you have. Physical is just your default non-elemental physical attack. Again, you can set like an element. For example, Fauna here, since she's the keeper of nature, she has... Oh, she doesn't have it, but most of her weapons have... No, they don't have it. Never mind. But if you really want to keep with the whole element thing, since she's the keeper of nature, you can set her, like, attack to be earth elemental. And then all her regular attacks will be earth-based. I don't do that just because I like doing other things with weapons. Attack state. This is the chance that their regular attack or skill will inflict a state. So you can set it so that whenever they hit an enemy, or in some cases an ally, which I'll go with that's a default plugin where you can set their regular attack to be something else in the database. So you can set to a state up to 0%, which I don't know why you would do that. I think you can set to 1000%. Yes, 1000%. And then attack speed. This is how this gets added to agility. And it affects your turn order. This is mostly for, say, default database stuff or ATB. I do not believe this works in CTB, which is what I use. In fact, at times doesn't really work in CTB, I believe. No, I think this works. This is how many extra hacks you get, up to 9. Or you can make it so that if you have extra hacks, you lose extra hacks. But, say you have a character who is technically dual-wielding, you can set it 2, or +1, and that will give them 1 extra hack, so they hack twice. Or maybe they just regular hack extra times. Maybe it's like, you have a thief who's really quick, so they get 2 attacks. You can do that if you really want to. Skill. This is how you can add a skill type to the character. So, for example, you can set, like, nature, animal, civilization. Or, if you're doing classes, black magic, white magic, knight, monk, etc., you do it here. You can also make it so that they can't use any specific skill types. They have specific skills without having to level up, or they can't use specific skills. So very basic stuff. Equip. This is for equip type. So if you want, like, say, your knight to only use great swords, you set great swords and have them be able to use this. Otherwise, they can't use the weapons. You need to have these here in order for the character to use weapons. If they cannot use weapons, then if you don't have any of these set, either here or in classes, it has to be in one of these, then they cannot use any of that equipment. Ignore this is a plugin thing. So you can do this for weapon types, armor types, helmet types. Well, helmet isn't armor, technically. Helmet has, or armor has helmet, shield, and armor. So that's where you put all of your armor stuff. And accessories also go here. You can also lock specific type, so that, if they're temporary, yeah, you can set their weapon is locked, so if you go to, when you recruit that character, they can no longer unequip whatever they have on. I don't know if you can get rid of this later in the game, you probably can. So that if they stop being, temporary characters, you could probably get rid of this. You can also make it so that they cannot, equip anything to specific slots, right? Yes. And then you can give them, like, you can give them dual wield. So if you want them to dual wield, 2 different weapons, you can do that. So normal is just 1 weapon, dual wield is 2. If you have it set to dual wield, I don't think they can use a, seal. And then other. At hat times plus, this is the chance that they will do an additional attack. Instead of being outright 2 attacks, you can make it a chance to do additional. And if you set multiple of these, like, 50-50, that means the first attack has a 50% chance of, happening. And then the second attack has a 25% chance of happening. This does not work in CTV. I believe this works in, ATV and DTV. Special flag. This is mostly for, like, if you want your AI to just auto-battle. If you want them to just be guarded. If you want them to cover by default. So, substitute is, it's a cover, but only if the party members are 20... This is only for if party members have their HP below 25% max HP. And this makes it so that they won't, spend any TP. So, after battles, TP is not reset. I don't know what guard does. Oh, it just reduces damage, okay. And then collapse is just mostly for, bosses. So you can make it so that, enemies don't disappear from, battle. So, if you have enemies that just, like, revive, or you just want them knocked out, you just have no disappear, instant, they just poof! And boss is for, like, special boss effects. And party ability, encounter half, encounter none, cancel surprise half, raise first strike, double, money drop, and double item drop. These were things that were hard to do in 2003. You can do these easily here in MB. You can have these set on, characters. Honestly, I think it's better to have these set on equipment. But, I don't know, maybe you want a character who, you know, maybe your thief makes it easier to get items, or gold. There you go, maybe you got a thief class that, makes it so you can't get first strike. Here you go, you can do it this way. And that's all the traits. So that's all of the, general stuff for actors. Obviously, you can do some more unique stuff, like make characters so that if you're not using plugins, you can set characters to be I hit the wrong thing, didn't I? No. Say you want a character to be Hank, and you're not using a plugin. I have abilities set so that the Hanks set a status in all characters, so that actually no, this makes it so that I don't know why this is set this way. It doesn't need to be set this way. It does not need to be set that way. Give me a second, let me look at that. Yes, why is that set that way? What? I don't understand why that's set that way. Hold on. I need, oh. I see why. It's supposed to make it so that, other characters do not ever get hard hit. Okay. It sets 2 statuses. So, It's AoE, so it sets this, but I don't need to do that anymore because I'm using plugins. I could probably change that. Anyways, you can set stuff like you can do some unique stuff, let's just say, just to keep it short. Classes, the traits are the same. Classes are where I would set like special stuff like hit rate, accuracy, target rate, all of your equipment, etc., etc. You can set that per character if you want. You can set it here, either which way it works. It's the same stuff here. This is where you set abilities for characters. So, if you don't want to set, actually, this is the only way to learn abilities leveling up, unless you do plugins. So, say you want your White Mage to learn Cure, and only the White Mage character, you will have this be your White Mage class. You will assign it to your White Mage right here, and that would provide all the stats right here, your EXP levels, what equipment they can use, and all the abilities they can learn when they level up. Obviously, this is the default stuff. There's other ways of learning abilities and whatnot, but you can do it that way if you want. You can set a note. I don't know why there's a note here. Probably JavaScript stuff. So you can set these up to whatever levels you want. This is basically how you learn abilities in like really old RPGs like Dragon Quest or say Final Fantasy. Well, Final Fantasy did it differently, so you know. And you know, stats. You set your you go generate curve. Set your level 1 stats, set your level 99 stats, and then you can change, you can gain it slowly, you can gain it quickly, or semi-slowly. You can't really, make it per level, unless you do it per level here. Which is a pain in the butt to do, and I'm not doing that. And you do this for all the stats for, the characters. I have it currently set to fast for all 4 of these, and these are set at their own rates. Honestly, I might set agility to be static, but I'm not sure. And EXP you set to specific values, or alternatively, you can set your own EXP formula. Give me a second. Let me see if I can find it without it being a problem. Plugin. I am gonna edit with, or I'm gonna open with Notepad. Here we go. Ah! Ah! Good old Notepad. So I'm gonna show the EXP curve here. So this is my custom EXP right here. So you can see that I changed the EXP formula right here. You can actually find this in RPG Core, I believe, if you're messing around with JavaScript. If you're gonna mess around with any of the JavaScripts, have a backup. Make sure you have a copy of it. So, if you screw something up, you can always revert. So, this is, with accessories. You can make it so that with accessories, EXP is, adjusted. This is the base EXP, this is the extra EXP from, over here. This is from class. And this is just your level up formula. So this is how it looks here for my game. And this is how you can adjust it if you really want to. I will not really adjust this. Do not adjust this line. Just adjust these lines, I believe. You can remove these so that it doesn't take this into account over here. And you can probably put in your own formula here, probably. I'm not sure. I didn't mess with this. I had help with this. Alright, so there's that. But yeah, you can set up using default, or you can set your own up. I would highly recommend setting your own up, and then working with that. You may need help with that. If you need help, I would highly suggest asking someone in RPG Maker Discord. People there are very helpful, and they will help you get what you need, for the most part. Or they may tell you to experiment. Or they'll give you this, and tell you to experiment. You're gonna need to do experimentation. Especially when it comes to setting up the EXP. It's a little tricky. It's what I find the trickiest part of doing, levelings in the game. So that's basically that for this. You can name your class here. So class name here, EXP change here for leveling up. Stats for leveling up, your base and max. All the abilities you can learn here. And all your unique class stuff. Which I would say put your hit rates. Well, hit rates I would say put on your equipment only. But that's me. You can put your elements here. Like, okay, this is a Dark Knight. All their apps are going to be Dark Elemental. You can do it here. You can put your extra crit rates, your extra evasion, all that extra stuff here. If you're going to do classes, which I would recommend, make sure to set your equip stuff here. So make sure if you want to equip accessories, you put it here. I believe that's why I have my equipment set to. No, accessories are different. I think accessories are always equipable. Yeah, accessories are... No, accessories fall into the same category as other armor. So you'll want to keep that in mind. If you want to make it so that a character cannot equip a specific accessory, set that accessory in a specific armor type, and can make it so that this character cannot equip that armor type. Like you'll see here, this character cannot equip magic armor. Neither can this character. Which I might be changing this soon because of a change in something that happened recently. Why do you not have that? Is the question. Hold on. I must check something now. I don't know why that's only for them and not for some of the other characters. But okay, sure. I have backups here, so ignore that. Skills. So this is where your hats are going to be used, your special abilities. Enemies and your regular hack will always use number 1. So if you're wondering why your enemies are not using any, like, regular hacks with a hack command, or it's doing no damage, this is why. They will use this ability. Now, rule of thumb, if you're going to use levels, and if you don't have a plugin, make sure that this is set to, like, some other ability for characters. And then set that to the characters here. Or set the weapons, as you'll see, skill ID. Skill ID, like, 2. or skill ID 5, or whatever that is gonna be on. Because if you use levels, by default, enemies don't have levels, and it will crash the game. So my damage formula for regular apps is a little wonky. I may have to readjust it. It's really hard to get the right damage formula, honestly. It's hard to get the right everything. You have to do a lot of experimenting. With this damage formula, I can make it so that, every 10 points of attack or magic matters. Yes, I am. That's because we're at the database now. We'll be moving along from, MP later. At some point, these, Let's Learn streams are gonna be for fighting games or something else, but, you know. You can name your abilities here. You can give your abilities icons, which is mostly for characters, your playable characters. You can give them descriptions. This is only for the playable characters, so you can make it so that, let's say we have your heal. So you can have your heal with an icon, so that you know what that character's gonna be doing in, like, default, There is more. This is just what I want to heat first. There's other stuff. I'm just trying to get through MB. You made me lose my train of thought. You can do extra stuff here, like you can make it so that icons appear here. It's the same, commands as in the message box from, eventing. You can set what skill type it's in. So you can only set, like, one skill type. Set the MP cost, the EP cost, if there's any. If you can use it in only battle, only in the menu, or never, or always, meaning it's always in battle or out of battle. The target, you can make it set to one ally, all allies, a gag ally, all gag allies, just the user, one enemy, all enemies, random enemies. I don't know why it says one random enemy. I mean, that's gonna be the same as one enemy, so what's one random enemy gonna accomplish? Or no enemies. This is for specific special things, like, say, anything that has to do with, like, a common event, which you would do over here, I believe. Again, this is your speed. If it gets added to your agility, it's the same as the trait. The success rate. How many times it'll hit. So you can set it up to 9 by default. With a plugin, you can set it even higher. This is how much EP you would gain whenever it actually hits. Or when it's used. This hit type. So you can make it so that it will always hit regardless of the character's resist. Unless it's elemental. You can make it physical, which makes it based on attack and defense. Magic, which is based on magic and magic defense. Your animation for the ability. You can make it so that whenever the character uses the ability, it'll give a little message like, the character cast Feel Better Beam. And you can make it so that you need specific weapons or weapon types in order to use the ability. Over here at damage, you can make it so that it doesn't require, it does nothing. This is more so for specific things like, okay, I'm gonna inflict a status effect without doing damage. You can do it with no type. HP damage, that's for, like, say, regular hack, fire spells, etc., etc. MP damage is, or, MP damage is for, like, Osmos, or Rasp, or whatnot. HP recover, that's your heals. MP recovers MP heal. And then HP MP drain. That's just your drain spells. With the HP MP drain, it will always be 100%. With a plugin, I believe you can change that. I don't know if you can change that by default. Actually, no, I think you can change that by default. I think you can. Let me check something. Let me see if I have an HP MP drain down here. I might not have it in here anymore. Actually, it might be down here. Let me look. Here it is. So, say you're doing, like, HP MP drain, right? You would do this in your JavaScript. This is your default JavaScript. So, this is something you do by default. You use background. So that it doesn't give you, like, integer, so you don't heal, like, 10.66666 HP, because that's a thing that can happen. So it rounds it down, I believe. Either down or up. Again, this is 25% of the damage dealt. This is if it does HP damage, and if the damage dealt is greater than 0. And post damage is for after it deals damage. So it has to have done damage. JavaScript stuff is not my specialty. I will take a look at some of this later, but I think you can do all of this with default MV. Alright, so. Okay, formula. This is your damage heal formula. This is what you use to determine how strong an ability is gonna do or be. How much damage will it inflict? How much will it heal? Etc, etc. And you can base it off of the target or the user stats, which is denoted with A, and the target stats, which is denoted with B. So this would be like target's attack divided by 4 minus target's defense divided by 2. That's like the default formula. There's other ways of doing this. I'm not gonna go into that right now. That's gonna be for another time. Because there's some really, really wild stuff you can do with this. If I have it, do I have it? You can also set it to, like, flat formula. So, this does 1111 damage no matter what, whenever it hits. And then there's stuff like, say, this, where it does nothing here. This is, JavaScript stuff. So, you can do damage formulas here in JavaScript. As you can see, the damage for this is not up here. It's down here, with values equal to this. And this is for if the target has a specific state, it will do this instead of the damage formula. So yeah, this is for a gravity ability, so there's that. And then there's this where, here's your unique formula. So it does, this ability will do more damage the lower the user's HP is. So, an 8-scale level, which the enemy cannot use, multiplies it by 50, and then an 8-scale current HP divided by their max HP is gonna get this wild thing. And Math Lore, I forget what Math Lore does. So you can do some really, really wild stuff with damage formulas. More so than what I'm showing here. You can make it so that you do an if-then statement. If a target has this much HP, then do this, else it'll do this. You can't do it up here. I think it's better to do it down here, though, in the notes. Variance is how much extra damage it'll do. If you set it to 0, it will always do that amount of damage. If you set it to like 50%, that means it will do at least 50% more or less than that damage. So if you set this to like 1,000, and you set this to like 50, and I just realized I did it again. Give me a second. Oi! Oi! You don't do that. I don't need this open. Thank you, Windows. Alright. But yeah, if you set this to 50, that means it will do 50% more or less of this formula. So it'll do up to 1,500 damage or 500 damage. Both ways. Or in between. So 500 is the least amount it will do. 1,500 is the max it will do without additional external sources. You can also make it so that it has a chance of crit. So this is based on the user's crit rate and the target's crit evade. You can set elements. You can only set one element. There is a plugin for multiple elements. If you do multiple elements, it will take the highest element only, I believe. And if you want it to be like a regular attack, set a normal, it will take the properties of your regular attack, I believe. And then over here in this, you can make it additionally on top of the damage. Say you have like a HP heal that heals 500 flat HP. You can make it so that it heals more or less HP. Multiplier is affected by pharmacology. You can make it heal or deal extra based on this. This can kill you, by the way. MP, same thing. Gain HP, how much extra HP you gain. This is how you set status effects on abilities. So you can make it set like a 25% chance to inflict death. Or you can make it so that it has a chance to remove statuses. Like, this has a 100% chance to remove death. So this would be your revive ability. Or it has like a 50% chance to fully revive a character. So it'd be like, remove state 50%, HP recover, HP recover, MHP. And then it will be set to one dead ally. So now you have a 50% chance of fully revive a dead ally. And it will not be affected by, like, physical evasion or magic evasion. Because if you set this physical or magic, it is affected by evasion. So if you want a revive that is not going to be evaded, set a certain. You can set to add buff or debuffs for X turns. These are the buffs that stack. So it would stack 25% and 50% twice. Again, you do that again with remove all of them. I don't use this. Other people might find more use for this. I don't have a use for it because I use this with states. And then other stuff, special effect, you can make it so that the target runs away. You can make it so that your party can run away. Now, if you have a party member that's dead, I think this makes it so that it counts as a game over. I am not sure how to get around that, honestly. But you can make this so that it makes the party member leave the fight. So, like, you want to make it so that an enemy makes it party members get blown out of the fight after so many turns. You can do this and make them go away. They are still in the party, they're just not in the battle. And that slot will stay empty for the rest of the fight. You can also make it so that it makes your stats increase. I don't know what this actually does. I actually have no idea. Is this a permanent increase? Oh. Okay. So, it's a permanent buff. Why would you ever put this on an ability is beyond me. You can also make it so that when you use this ability, it unlocks other abilities. Or, you can run a common event. For example, this is how you would do your Guild Hoss ability. Or White Wind. Honestly, you can do White Wind in another way. But you can do Guild Hoss, you can do like random abilities, you can do like a warp ability, you can do a bunch of barrier shift, you can flip resist. Common events let you do a lot of wild stuff that you cannot do in 2003 very easily. And when you do this, it will run the common event before it does the damage of the ability, I think. Normally, when you do common events, you usually do that with no damage height. Otherwise, you'll double up on whatever it does. Note is for the JavaScript stuff. So, like, this is one of the JavaScript, or plugin stuff. So, this is one of the plugins I have. So, this lets this hack hit multiple times based on the user's level divided by 10. So, it has a chance of. No, it will hit up to, say, 9 times if they're level 99. This has a chance to hit between 1 or 2 or 5 times. This is JavaScript for all of your this is your Libra command. I believe this is a Yavfly thing. This is a, you can do this without, any, plugins. So, you can set so that if the user of this ability has this weapon equipped, you can do various things before, the ability fires off. And this is a plugin thing. You can make it so it single targets or, multi-cast. This is a plugin thing. And then there's stuff like this where, you can set a variable, this is a plugin thing right here. You can set a variable and have it check if the variable is there. And then remove it. Or add a, another state. So you can do, like, stances this way. This is if a character is affected by a status, it will, what is going on with this? Oh, this is a damage formula. This is for something else. Like, if the user is affected by this status, then the damage will increase by 6 times the value. Or, say, a status, or a character has, like, say, some kind of status that, like, they have freeze on. Then if they get hit by an attack and it does damage, that would be post damage, you can make it so that it does instant death instead. Or say, if the user has a heat status and they do something, they do like a specific ability, then they die. That would be more for a state. This works in states too, so you can do a lot of wild things with default JavaScript, but you gotta know what JavaScript commands you can do. So that's all of that. I'm not gonna go through every single JavaScript thing. There's a lot of them, and I don't know every single one. It actually took me a little bit to learn all these JavaScript stuff. That's it for skills. I'm only gonna go a little bit longer, so let's go through some of the stuff quicker. Items. You can set your items to be regular, key, or hidden items. I don't know why there's item A or B. Your name, your item icon, what the player can see when they see the item in the menu, how much it costs, if it's consumable, if you can use it in battle, out of battle, never is for key items, or always, so in battle or out of battle. So if you want just battle items, you would set it just battle. Who it affects, so same thing as the skills, here. And this is all the same as the skills. So for like, this is I'm gonna heal 50% and then lose 50%. I could probably do that up here instead of over here, because this can kill you. Again, you can do JavaScript stuff here. This is how, I do HP MP flip. So that's something you can do, is, flip HP MP. This is more valuable with, like, say, lower numbers. Do I not have any damage items? I don't think I have any damage items. But if you have, like, say, a item that casts, like, a fire ability, you'll do all of that here. Or, you can run a common event here to do whatever you need to do. Or if you want something to be like a stat increase item, you can do that here. So that's it for items. Nothing too special there. For weapons. Weapons are all basically the same. Well, no, they're not. You need to set your weapon type here. So if you want it to be a longsword, you have to set it as a longsword. And this is... You need to set it so that it's for specific classes. If you want a character to use only one weapon, you set their class and use just that weapon, and there you go, they have their own unique weapon. Or if you're doing classes like, Knight, Paladin, etc., if they just use great swords, you can set great swords to them. And for Knight, if you want them to use, like, say, longsword, they will also have longsword, but the longsword would be a longsword, and the great sword would be a great sword. If you get what I mean. How much it costs to get set 0 means you cannot sell it, I think. Yeah, if it's set to 0, you cannot sell it. The animation, whenever you attack with it, You can set weapon descriptions here. So, for example, this is water elemental and lets you use this ability. So whenever you have this weapon on, it lets you use resist water. It increases the power of an ability by 25%. It has 90% hit rate. It's physical and it's water based. And it increases MP cost by 25%. So that's what you do with the weapons. And the skill ID means it will do skill number 38 in the database. So it will do this, which is a regular attack, but based on magic and magic defense. So this is if you want like a magic weapon. Or if you want your mage to attack with a magic physical attack instead of a physical attack. And here you can set your stat changes. You can set a minus or plus. So if you set like an attack, it's going to set your parameter for attack like 120%. This gets added in at 120%. And if you set like 80%, it gets added 20% penalty afterwards. Or before, rather. So sometimes you may set like a penalty, but if you have a high enough stat increase, you still get a stat increase. So, I mean, you know. And that's it for armor or weapons. Nothing too fancy. Armor. This is where you set your helmets, shields, armors, and accessories. If you want accessories, set to accessories. If you want it set of armor, set to here. Helmets is here, shields are here. I don't think you can change the equipment height. I think these are always preset. With plugins, you can change equipment heights. But by default, you can't really do that. Normally, it's always going to be there, unless you remove it from character outright. So it's the same as weapons. So it will always be the same as weapons for armor. If you want a character and not be able to equip a specific type of thing, you would set to a different armor height. Armor height you can change, I believe. But yeah, for example, anyone who does not have magic armor as a armor height cannot use this. I might change some of these equipments, honestly. Like, this is kinda not that great. And I might make these be more like HP MP buffs or something. But yeah, this is where you would do like attack buffs, HP buff, EXP buffs, no encounter accessories, stuff like that. Or things like status immunity, elemental resist, your attacks now deal this element, you inflict these status effects, etc, MP costs. You can do a lot of wacky stuff. Again, experiment and see what you want to do with your game. Because it's very hard to tell what's going to be balanced with your game. For example, all of these do this. I might actually change these because it makes your attack that element, and it gives you a chance to debuff that element. So you do more damage after you debuff that element. I might change that. Alright, last thing. Enemies. This is where all your enemies of the game is going to be. Your bosses, your regular enemies. Name them. Give them an image. If you don't give them an image, the game is going to crash if you don't give them at least an image. So keep that in mind. Set your stats. This is going to be a lot of experimenting. everything here at the enemy have is going to be a lot of experimenting. So don't worry if you don't get it right. Just mess with the numbers here. It might not even be the enemies. It might be your character stats. It might be the weapon stats. It's gonna take some time to find what's right. And I would recommend, in my opinion, I would recommend messing with the damage first. Mess with the character stats, the enemy stats, damage formulas, and see if you can get something that fits what you want for your game. Because that's going to be one of the hardest things, is balancing all of this stuff together. Same with EXP and money, that's going to be a little bit hard to balance. You're just going to have to see what works where, and at what point in the game these enemies show up, and all of that stuff. So you can make it so that enemies can drop 3 items. This is different from 2003, where they drop 1 item. However, unlike 2003, it's set to probability. So it's like a 1 in 1 chance, or a 1 in 2 chance. So you can't really set to, like, you have a 55% chance of getting this item. That's something you could do in 2003. You can't do this here for some reason. I don't know why. Up here is where you set your enemy stats. So this enemy has a 95% chance of hitting with regular attacks. They have a 5% evade. Their attack is physical. And they have a 15% chance of inflicting poison. Now you can do other things here like evasion, magic reflect, counter. Like they have 30% chance to counter. You can set their counter stuff here for them, which requires a plugin. I'm not going to go over that. Let me think. You can do a bunch of stuff here that you can do with the player characters. You can also set when they die, if it's normal or boss, or they, you know, all that stuff. This is all for enemies. And then skills, this is all for what your enemy can do. So you go through your skills. The rating is how often they will use it. 1 is very rare, 9 is very often. If you have multiple skills at the same rating, they all have an equal chance of being used. And then conditions, by default, they will always be able to use it. They will only use it on X turns. So, if you set like 1 + 0, they will use it every turn. So yeah, it's every 1 turn here, or it's every 2 turns here, I think. So if you set like 3-1, it's turn 1, at turn 4, at turn 7, etc, etc. You can set between HP values, so if you don't want them to use something after hitting a specific HP value, you do it here. Same with the MP. This one I never use, but you can probably do something like, if they have no MP left, they do like a big MP recovery move or something. Or they die, or something. If they're under a specific status, which you cannot do that in 2003, if the party level is, like say, the party level average is 5 or higher. Oh no, it's the highest level for, the party member's highest level. So it's like FF8. Or if a switch is on. So, this is something you do in the enemy group tab. We will get that in a little bit, or next time, rather. So like, enemy switch 1 on. it will only use this when the enemy switch 1 is on. It will not turn off the switch here. Note, it will never turn the switch off here. You will have to do that yourself. So you may have to do it in the skill where it runs a common event, turn the switch off. Or maybe it runs it in the enemy tab. So there's all that. Again, there's JavaScript stuff, which you can do that with, say, you can make the enemies haunt. Like, you have to kill the enemy first in order for the player to attack anyone else. You can do passives right here. You can do instant cast stuff. You can do, say, default counters. This is what the default counter will be. You can do other stuff. It's mostly passives here. Where is the one that has the extra counters? There's one with extra counters somewhere. It's probably the extra bosses fight, right? Here is extra counter stuff, evade counter, stuff like that. So there's all the enemies. I have enough time. Let's go to the turn. So this is how you change what the names of things. Like, if you want to change what HP is, you change it here. You can abbreviate stuff here. So this is what you would see in the database. You know what? I'm gonna change this to magic. And this magic defense. That'll be easier to read. I might not need to change that. Commands. This is all your regular commands during battle. In the menu, what it shows in, menu stuff. And, this is more menu stuff. And other additional things like, hey, this is what the files called. You died, and it gives you this, message. You failed to escape. This is what you would run if you are now a new level. So this is where you go for different messages. Just a whole bunch of messages here. Hypes. This is for equipment. So if you want to rename your equipment or change how many equipment you have, you do it here. Same with armor hype, weapon hype, skill hypes, and elements. If you want to have more elements or less elements, you can change it here. And you can rename it right here. So that's for equipment, items, abilities, etc., etc. Important to have all of this here. And in system, we don't need to go over tile sets. We went over tile sets already. System. This is what characters you start with in the game. Your game name. I haven't named my game yet, so it's stuff with that. The name of your money. Your default window color. You can change this with commands as you saw in the previous screen. Your images for your vehicles, if you have any. File names, music for tile, battle, victory. Your default victory your default music play rewind, and slow down, old man. These are the music that will play by default unless you change it in the database for each of these scenarios. And then the default sound effects you would hear for each of these situations. So if you have custom sound effects, you can change it here for each of these. Like, hey, I want to have like a Final Fantasy VII sound font. You can put it in here as long as you have it in the correct folder. Over here is your side view hacks. So you would have your motion, like you just punch, you swing, like brush is like with a spear, swing is with a sword, missile is a projectile. You do all your side view hack animations here for weapons. This is for what you want to have in your main menu. If you don't want to have these up at all times, you can change it here. Like, if you don't want to be able to save at all times, you would change that here. This is for when you first start the game. This is for where your where the boat, ship, and airship starts in the game. So if you want to start on the world map somewhere, you can just start there. It's for your tile screen. You can make it so that it doesn't draw the tile theme. This is if you want to make your own tile theme logo, which I believe that's what the Council Risk RPG does. I would like to do that. I'm not sure how I would. And I need someone to be able to do the art for that. This is for your side view magic. I don't know why this is set this way. That's weird. And then you can make it so that you use the side view battle system. You start transparent. So this makes it so that you start the game invisible. That way, you can run the cutscene without having, you know, your main character there. It shows your characters, your party members following you by default. You can make this so that poison, can kill you. I'm being nice that poison will not kill you. You can make it so that floor damage will kill you. You can show EP in battle. It's for like special things like, say you have a limit gauge system. You can do that with this. And you can make it so that party members that are not in battle will gain EXP. This is the thing that RPG Maker 2003 did not do. And it's infuriating that it did not enable this. Now, I'm debating if I should do this for the current game. But, considering my audience, I think it's better for, when other party members, gain EXP so that everyone stays at the same EXP. For this game, if it were any other game, I will probably have this unchecked, because I'm that type of player. Who's like, if you don't use the character, then you don't gain EXP. Because how are they gaining experience if they're not fighting, right? But because of the audience for this game, you know, the HoloLive members, and potentially the HoloLive talents, if they play, I want to make it a little bit more enjoyable. So, the game's balanced around this a little bit. Anything else I could go over? Anything else? Let's see. You know what? We're gonna wrap up the database today. So, common events. This is where you go do special little events that you normally cannot do in other parts of the game. For example, in battle, you can't really do this event. You can make it so that it runs like, say, okay, so we're going to input a value for a number, and we're going to store it in this variable. And then in that variable, if it's greater than that, and if you have more money than that, which is set here, then it will show battle animation on all of the enemies. It will take money out based on the value you set here. And then it will do damage to all enemies equal to a quarter of this value. And then it will, if you don't have enough money, it will use through air. And if you have no money, it will do this. And then it sets the variables to 0. So that's just for a battle ability. You can do like MP recovery. You can do like a max HP minus current HP ability this way. You can do White Wind. You can do you can make everyone hack. I'm actually not sure if that makes so that everyone does a regular hack. It might. You can make it so that everyone runs. You can, I don't know why I have a copy of this. You can do stuff based off of data, like time or steps taken. I think this would run a event. It would force another ability. And on the map, you can do stuff like this, where you have a script where the script will do this specific thing. These are commands that you can also find in RPG Core, I believe. So this will force the player to move forward on that specific, if this is running. These are all done via terrain events, and I believe this requires a plugin too. I think you can do it without the plugin too, but yeah. You can make it so you gain money by doing stuff. You can do a random chance of doing an ability. You can do a, I'm gonna let the player warp out of a dungeon and they will go here. You can also set for like, hey, you can do donations. If you've done enough donations, you get specific rewards. Or you get to a specific, sorry, I'm talking too fast. Or you can set it so that depending on where you're at in the game, the shop will change. And you can do it this way instead of having it on different event pages for the shop. You can do it this way so that if you have like one shop, you can do it this way, or you can do it event wise. There's multiple ways of doing it. You can do like barrier shift. You can do a common event for the start of battles that clears all events, or you can set a common event for game over. So there's a few things you can do with common events. These are all for unique, special things that you cannot really do in any of the other halves or in eventing. Or if you want, you can do some of the stuff in eventing. But say you want it all in one place and easy to change at any time. You can do it this way. You can also set triggers so it auto runs. Auto run means it will run it the moment that the switch is on. And it will keep running as long as the switch is on. Now, make sure that you turn the switch off. Because if you don't turn the switch off, it will just run indefinitely. Parallel runs alongside what's going on. So keep these in mind whenever you do this. For a lot of the stuff, it's going to be set to none. And that is common events. There's a lot you can do with common events. Again, experiment. You can do gravity stuff here if you want. You can do elemental buffs and debuffs here if you want. Even though you can do that easier in state, which we will get to. You can do gambling stuff here. So if you want to do like slot machine stuff, you can do it here. Okay, so that's enough of common events. Animations! I have not messed with this yet. You can change... You can hide the target. It hides the target for a given time. Okay. And this is for the screen. Flashes the higher screen. Oh, this is sound effective flash timing. Okay. So this is where you would set your sound effect. This is where you would do your flashes, if there is any. This is for sifting cells. I don't know what waning means. This lets you change multiple things. This changes, makes the so this changes the previous frame to whatever was previous. Got it. And this changes, the sprite for testing. This is all the animations for that, which is, up here at images. I guess you can have 2 different images. That's neat. This changes, where it's at. If you want to hit the higher screen, it would be right here. And this gives you, the max amount of frames here. Okay. And this is always going to be the empty cell. This is the end. Okay. Let me look over here. Yeah, there will always be an empty cell here. Okay. So this is where you do all your battle animations. I never messed with it much, but you can see some of the oh! I see. So you can set like hit and that's very interesting that you can do 2 battle animations. And then you have to set your sound effects and flashes over here. So, 3 or 2 is when that would happen, right? Yes. And that will happen on the target. This is for the screen, and this hides the target. Let me see what happens if you hit hide target. Wow. Okay. Interesting. So this is probably a lot easier to deal with than say 2003. What's the max frames you can have? Let's see. You can have, It looks like 909, no, 200 frames. Okay, that's fair. Okay. So, this is something I would like to deal with later for my game. The problem is, I would like to do, custom animations. However, I don't know if I ever will. There's a lot of enemy abilities. Which might be a bit of a problem. Two more things. Enemies! We talked about the enemies. Now, how can you get the enemies to be in a group? You go to troops. So, here we have the enemy troops. These are the enemies you're going to fight in the battle. So, if you want to have multiple enemies, you gotta go over here. And you choose your enemy here and hit add. Or you can remove the enemy. So, you can also align the enemies so they're, equally aligned, or you can set enemies to be wherever on the screen. You can also Hesk battle with them. So battle Hesk, and we are gonna set you to level 6. And let's see what happens here. I never used the Hesk battle. Uh-huh. Interesting that, it gave me a full party. And that's how Hesk battle works. You can change the battle background. This is how you would, this is for, if you want specific battle backgrounds for them. I don't use battle backgrounds, but you can do that here. You can auto-name them based off of the enemies. Or you can name the enemy group whatever you need them to be. So that's this app. Here is the important thing. This is how you're gonna run events. So, say you have, specific things that you want to run at the start of battle. You will have that run at turn 0. Turn 0 would do everything before the very first turn of the battle. So for that, I have ignores, it clears all switches at the start of battle. And then afterwards, if I needed any switches on for specific enemies, I would turn it on here. We'll get over here in a second with that. If you want to run it every single turn, you would put it with turn 1 plus X, or times X, and then run it here. Or maybe something happens when an enemy gets to, say, 50% HP, right? Where are you at? Ame, where are you? Okay, so, say you get to, 50%. Why is it set turn 1x? I don't know. Oh, that's why, because it does this. So, she gets a 50% HP, right? And she will say this the first time. And then I set a variable, so if it's, not, so this, if it's 0, this is the first time, it will run the script, and then it will set 1, so it will never run again. Every single turn, when she's below 50% HP. And it will inflict haste on her, and poison slow on the party. And this will happen every turn. Note, battle means it happens only once in the battle. Turn means it happens once every turn at the start of the turn, I believe. Moment, what does moment do? It repeats it. I don't know when you would actually use moment, in all honesty. But you can do it with, various conditions, like, turn end. You can do it with, multiple turns, when the enemy's HP is below, when a character's HP is below, when the switch is on. So you can do a variety of things. Like, you can do something when the enemy's HP is 0. This is something you could not do normally in 2003. If an enemy's HP hit 0 in 2003, that was it. The battle ended. Here, you can do stuff when HP hits 0. So, if your party's HP is 0, you can probably run a common event that does a common script. If you really wanted to. And you can also do, like, various things, like, hey, your dancer can, give your characters buffs. But if your dancer's HP hits 0, all of those buffs and debuffs they can do go away. So, yeah, you can do, a whole bunch of unique stuff here. This is how you do, like, battle, dialogue. This is how you make enemies appear, if you really wanted to. Because it uses the same, event commands as in eventing. So you can make enemies appear, over here in battle. So your battle commands can be used here. When you use the battle commands, take note of what spot enemies are. So it won't tell you, but it's the order that you put them in. So here, this is enemy 1, enemy 2, enemy 3, I believe. Or it's 1, 2, 3. It's whatever order you put them in. So this matters for, this really matters the most when you do something like, change enemy HP. So here's, who's in what slot. So if you're gonna do, like, custom events, make sure you keep note of which one is which. Otherwise, it will do nothing. More than likely. Yeah. Also, you saw it appear halfway. This makes it so that they're invisible at the start of battle. They will not show up at all unless you run the enemy appear. And if they do not appear before the battle ends, the battle's over. So you can make it so that there's multiple phases in a boss fight, or enemies summon other enemies. Now, you can only have 8 enemies in one given fight. So if you want to summon more enemies than that, you're gonna have to, like, do some black magic with reviving enemies after they appear. But yeah, you can do special events here based on that. And lastly, here's your status effects. So, number 1 must always be here. This is when a character's stat, or a character. This is when an enemy or ally's HP hits 0. It will run this event. This is for when an enemy or ally uses the guard command. And the rest is whatever you want. So, it's the name of your status effect. Your icon for the status effect. What will it do? If you set a none, it will do nothing. You can set whoever has the status effect will only attack the enemy non-stop with regular attacks. If this is on enemies, they will still do their abilities from what I saw. Attack anyone means they'll attack enemy or ally. Attack an ally means they'll attack their own side. So this is like Berserk, Confusion, Charm. And cannot move means they can't act. So, you know, death, paralyze, petrify. Priority is, basically the icon. So if it's at 100, it will show this icon first over anything with lower priority. Again, you can have this with images for if you're using the side view system. You can set it so that it's removed at the end of battle. If you don't check this, then it will stay persistent only in battle. Or it will stay persistent if you do not check this, it will last after fights. Man, I could not get my sentence out. And this is removed by restriction. So if you get hit by a different status effect that has a restriction, it will remove it. And this is for turn end. Action end is after the target or the character affected by this hates a... I really need to slow down my thought process. Say you have a character who attacks and they have the status on. After they do their attack, then this will hit down. Else, this will hit down after the turn ends. Right? So this is more useful for if they performed an action. Otherwise, it will end if they have their turn, whether they act or not. So if you want like a petrify or death, well, no, it's not death, but if you want to have like petrify, I'm gonna stop messing with that because I shouldn't mess with that. If you want to have like petrify or paralyze, you would use turn end so that the turn counter will go down. Or paralyze, turn end. Petrify, action end. If you have action end, it will never go down because they're not taking action. I think this is how many turns before it goes away. You can set a random, or you can set it to a specific value. Let me just do this so I don't mess that up, because I don't know what that was on. Okay. You can make it get removed by damage whenever they take any kind of damage. This is for outside the battle. You can make it removed by walking. If they have the status effect afflicted or removed, or it gets it's still lasting. You can have the messages for that. And then this is where you can do the whole things that you did with characters, armor, weapon, items, the whole thing's right here. So you can make it so that a status effect, like, you cannot die. You lose 10% max HP. Your accuracy goes down. You cannot use magic, which you probably have to set for specific skill sets or skills. You can only hack enemies, but you get 25% more hack. You only hack anyone. You know, various things like that. Or you can get wild with it, like, all elemental resist up. You're immune to all debuffs, etc. You can also do JavaScript. Like, here, this is a, plugin. Here's, something you can do with, default, RPG Maker MD stuff. More default RPG Maker MD stuff. This is for Doom. Double healing on items. Healing. You ain't no damage, but you can't move. You can inflict, elements that overrides other elements. Etc, etc. You can do a lot with this. You get, like, 3 extra regular attacks. I might, remove that, honestly. But yeah. So you can do a bunch of different things. You can do a bunch of, different stuff related to, JavaScript. So, a lot of these JavaScript stuff is probably going to be done via, plugins. Some of these are not by plugins. Some of these just, you can actually do by default. Anyways, that is it for the database. I was not expecting to get through the database in one go. Actually a lot less to talk about than I expected. The more advanced stuff you're gonna have to experiment with, because some of this stuff is gonna require a lot of experimenting. Like, for example, here's the freeze status effect. If the target's under freeze, it gets hit by a fire attack. It removes the status. Right here. Otherwise, if it's a physical attack and it deals damage and hits, it will kill the target. So there's things like that. If this attack is magic and the damage is not, or if the value is not equal to 0, it gets a 25% boost in power. So you do a lot of unique stuff. You just gotta mess around with it. So there's custom confirm, custom react, respond, apply. It's just a lot of reading. You're gonna have to do custom status effects. Why is this here a flea thing? And then you have, like, real wacky stuff like this, where, you get really, in-depth with, unique stuff. So, yeah, that's it. That is all I have for RPG Maker MV. I do not have anything else to really talk about with RPG Maker MV. I'm just gonna do this. Everything else is gonna depend on you. What you're able to learn, what you're able to apply from learning, and how you want your game. Note, you don't actually have to make an RPG in RPG Maker. You can make a platformer. You can make a horror game. You can do a lot in RPG Maker that's not an RPG. Now, it might require a little bit more knowledge to do, but you don't really need to do that. Need to make an RPG. Let's jump back over here. So that's all I have for RPG Maker MV. So we are done. We are done with this. We can move on to something else and learn. I don't know what we're going to learn next time, but we are going to learn something. I might have an idea of what to learn next time. Because, anyone who's been watching me will know exactly what I've been doing. It might take a little bit longer to learn stuff in that engine, but I'm gonna say until next time, whenever that may be, this has been Let's Learn RPG Maker MD, and I will see you for the next learning stream. Hopefully, it'll be something more interesting, right? Maybe. Until then, everyone, whenever that may be.